welcome. I have a very special guest today, all the way. Are you still? Oh, so you're in Florida, right? Now
Yeah,
you're in
I'm born and raised in New York.
York, and then now living in Florida. And just before in the green room, we're talking about the Stanley Cup game because it's Canada against the US this year, which is pretty exciting. But special guest, I would love for you to introduce yourself. So share with us your name, what you are known for, what are your areas of expertise?
Okay, so my name is Chris Terzakos. I'm born and raised in New York City. Growing up, I come from a very tough neighborhood. So you have to, stand your grounds. Through my childhood, I was raised by a single mother. So, there was a lot of poverty in my family. And then through my teenage years, I played baseball, not Major League Baseball, but I was scouted by Major League Baseball teams. Didn't make it because that was my fault. I'm responsible for it. And most warriors, by the way, they're responsible for anything. Anything that happens, we take responsibility. Even if we're not responsible for it, we still take responsibility. So throughout my childhood, I played baseball. Let's see, I became a leader of a company. I went to work for one company for 18 years. And the first 3 or 4 years, I became a supervisor, and now I was a leader for them. Then I opened up my own business. I'm a coach today. I'm a life coach. I coach people, through fitness. I coach people through health and wellness. Any adversities that they're up against, if they need to talk to me, I'm available. I can only give you my wisdom and my wisdom of what worked for me. Whatever I teach, whatever I coach, I did not read out of a book.
No. It's intuitive, right? So could you share with everybody, like you mentioned the word warrior, and that really is a lot of what your work is based around, this definition of warrior. Can you share what a warrior is and how you practice those values in your life now?
Okay, so a warrior is he's got a lot of integrity. His word is, that's his bond. Okay, whatever his word is. He's disciplined. He is true to himself. A warrior takes responsibility, like I said. He's dedicated. I've been dedicated to whoever is in my life. I give you 100% of my dedication, and just be true. You got to be true to yourself. You got to, be a man of your word. When you say something, or if you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't find excuses to get around it. You gave your word, keep your word. Now, for those who don't keep their word, then more than likely, at the end of the day, they can't be a warrior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what a warrior does. A warrior's a leader. He's not a follower. Because somebody's doing something, that don't mean you have to do something. So if you want to be a warrior in this life, you could be a female warrior, you could be a male warrior. These are the things that you need to come true to yourself with. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's the definition of a true warrior.
I love it. You remind me a lot of my other half. He's had a hard life as well, but he's very soft-spoken and gentle and kind, but very strong and always a hard worker, always keeps his word, very, very dedicated to anything. And I love it because I think there is some maybe difference in the way people might describe masculinity, that it's just always the hard, but there is a soft side to this as well. Like it's love that comes with dedication, all those things.
100%.
Yeah. Have you always defined being a warrior that way and masculinity the way you do today? Or is this something you learned over time and experience?
No, I've been like this all my life. I've been a warrior all my life. And I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
Being a warrior, I cry every single day about something. I cry every day. And there's nothing wrong with crying, because once you shed those tears, it might be a 10-second, 20-second moment, or it might even be a 5-minute moment. When you're done, you go back to your warrior. And it's okay to cry. If you want to be a warrior and you find yourself crying, it's okay. You cry, because crying is going to lift you. You'll feel better. Okay. And then just go back to your life. You cried for that moment. Now, every single day, I said I cry every day about something. It could be something I watched on TV. It could be something my wife said. It could be like an old memory. And the cry doesn't mean like it's a sad cry. The cry is just from the heart. Okay? So whatever touches my heart, I'll cry. Might hear a lyric to a song. I might be listening to I hear a certain lyric. It might bring a tear to my eye, which it has. So again, if you cry, it's healthy to cry. So cry. Don't be bashful. Just cry. Who cares if somebody says, hey, look, he's crying? Who cares? Being a warrior that you are, what do you care what somebody else says about you?
Yeah.
So that's the way it goes as far as being a warrior. I've been through a lot of things, tough times in my life. I lost my best friend. He was murdered. I told you, I come from a tough neighborhood. He got involved with the wrong group and they murdered him. So, being 21 years old at the time, I had to, find my way. I had no one to teach me or no one to talk to me and, to help me through it. I had to go through that on my own.
Mhm.
And then 7 years later, I lost my older sister. My sister died. So I had to get through that. Another obstacle in my life. And that was a tough one. That actually was really tough because, she died, tragically. She was a marathon runner. She was out doing, I think, a 10-mile run, training for the marathon. And she had an aneurysm. My
Oh.
sister died in 2 minutes. She was with two friends. They said, as soon as your sister fell to the ground, she already passed away. It was like quick. So, and I had to go through that, going to the hospital, identifying the body. I went with my dad, but, that was new to me. All that stuff was new as a young guy, and my father didn't call anyone else but me. He didn't call my other brothers and sisters to go. He called me to go because of the leadership that I carried and the confidence that I carried with myself. So he trusted that let me bring Chris, my son. So I went with my dad. So, getting through all those tough times, those are traumas, it wasn't easy. If someone was to call me and ask me how do I get through something, I can tell them how to do it, because I lived it. It's my experience, it's my wisdom. I'm 65 years old today. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'll never give that up. I go to the gym 5 days. I'm in shape. I have a six pack. If people want to see me on my website, healingwarriors.com is my website. I take good care of myself. I eat healthy. You know, you know, once you eat healthy, you have a healthy mind because food will disrupt your thinking. You're not eating healthy, it does affect your mind, especially if you're eating sugar.
Yes.
Do you know anything about sugar? What sugar does to you?
Yeah, I know a little bit. So when I took nutrition school a number of years ago, one of the things that I learned about, which is sort of what you're talking about, is the mental fitness that comes from it is because of all the serotonin receptors in the gut. And that can be really affected by the microbiome, the things we put in our stomach, the things we're digesting. All those things actually affect serotonin production, which is what powers our brain's ability to feel safe, to feel secure, to make good
100%.
judgment, good decisions. So yeah, share us a
100%.
little more about what your experience is.
Okay, well, as far as being a warrior, right? Us men, we need testosterone.
Yes.
So, okay, so this is where that came in. Because if you're eating sugar, what sugar is going to do, sugar is going to raise your insulin, and insulin is a blocker for producing testosterone.
Yes.
Now, again, I said, us men, we need testosterone. Testosterone gives you, you know, helps your libido. It gives you good confidence. It's good for your bones. It's good for your mind. You won't feel depressed. You won't feel like insecure. So all of those things, uh, you know, those molecules, you can't be a warrior if you're not producing testosterone
Hmm.
because you're just going to go into a depression stage. So that's why I said you got to watch what you eat and sugar. Sugar is not good. So, and you want to keep your testosterone level up. I wrote a book about it, by the way, how to increase testosterone after 60 years old, naturally, without taking injections or without using testosterone cream, because they have a cream you can raise testosterone. But once you start doing that, that's for the rest of your life.
Yes.
If you do it naturally is actually, I'm smiling about it because it's healthy. And now you'll be healthy for the rest of your life. You don't have to
Yes.
rely on synthetics, an injection from a doctor or injecting yourself. So you won't have to rely on or depend on that. So that was my other book, Increasing Testosterone After 60, which is
Hmm.
interesting. I wrote it very simple. If there's 7 steps to do it, and everybody could do it. Vitamin D, big on raising testosterone. Um, I can share like zinc. If you find foods that have a lot of zinc in it, or if you take a zinc supplement, you're good. It's going to help raise testosterone. Now, you mentioned something, Chrissy, about serotonins. I'm glad that you mentioned serotonins. If you can eat fresh ginger every day, all you need is a teaspoon. A teaspoon of fresh ginger is equivalent to 4 ounces. And that's all you need every day. If you eat ginger, ginger will raise your serotonins, your blood flow. It will decrease inflammation. It gets rid of inflammation and it's good for your gut
Yes.
health. So these are items that I do in my life strictly daily.
Yeah.
I do it every day. Like I said, I'm healthy. I have a body of a 30-year-old, and I'm healthy here mentally.
Yes. Yes.
So
Very.
that's what the warrior does. This is everything that a warrior does.
Yeah, you have to take care of yourself. It's impossible to take care of anybody else in your life if you're not well. The interesting thing about insulin too, and I've learned a little bit because my dad actually has diabetes, type 2 diabetes, which is unfortunate. Um, but even for men that say they want to bulk up and build muscle, if you have an excess insulin, what happens is it shuts the door to your muscles. So sugar, or like your fuel, the things that give you energy,
Yes,
proteins, calories cannot get into your muscles. They just get stored as fat because they're getting a signal that you're already full. So the muscles don't need anything. So then the muscles have trouble building. It takes more effort because you have to expend so much before the insulin is drained so that you can actually build muscle.
true.
So it makes a lot of sense, especially people do want to get big and strong. Sugar
Hmm.
would be the last thing you would want to put in your body as far as like processed sugar, white sugar, but something that's natural with fruit and fiber. Fiber is a big thing to have in sugar. So like have a piece of watermelon if you're craving something sweet, that kind of stuff is
100%. And watermelon's like really good for you, by the way.
so good. So
Yeah,
good
yeah.
for you.
Watermelon has so many benefits of eating watermelon.
Hmm.
My wife and I, we eat watermelon like 4 days a week. We eat watermelon like after dinner. We have a thing of watermelon. Even the dog, we give it to him.
Yes, yes. My
It's
dog loves
health. Yeah, yeah.
watermelon.
It's healthy for the dog too, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
good. Pumpkin's good for your dogs because pumpkin's good for digestion. It's really cool how much we don't realize that our plate actually speaks a lot as to what we are. You are what you eat, basically, is where that saying comes from, right?
exactly, exactly. So, another fundamental situation that all of us are faced with, no matter where you live, is the pollution.
Mm-hmm.
How the pollution in the air will affect your hormones. So, when you talk about testosterone, it's a hormone, you talk about estrogen, it's a hormone, right? So, I talk about pollution a lot also, about the Wi-Fi, just the pollution in the air from, cars, industries. But there's one pollution that no one really talks about, Chrissy,
Hmm.
and that's cremation.
Oh,
Do you know?
interesting.
Right. Very interesting. Do you know how toxic cremation is when a body is in a furnace and out the furnace comes all those toxins from your body?
No.
It's it's terrible. And cremation years ago, okay, and I could talk about it because years ago they didn't do cremation. They
Yep.
buried you. They buried you in a cemetery. Now it's a lot cheaper, it's affordable, so they just take you, they cremate you, and what happens to all the ashes that you're burnt? It goes into the air. Now you and I, we're breathing that toxins. And that not too many people talk about that today, but you know, I talk about it. Uh, I think something should be done about it. And you know, it does affect your hormones, it does affect, your mind, mental
Hmm.
health. So, you got microwaves, uh, the Wi-Fi, plastic toxins,
Plastics are
your cell phone, automobile pollution. So all of these things, that's why you really got to take care of yourself and eat right, because these things you can't get around. The Wi-Fi, you're right there. The cell phone, you're right with it. Um, Plastic toxins, like I don't drink water from a plastic bottle.
bad.
No, it's got to come from a glass bottle, or like mountain water or spring water. But we don't drink water from a plastic bottle
No.
because of the toxins.
Yes. Yes, and I heard that they can get worse, especially if you leave them places where they can be exposed to sunlight and those kinds of things. Heat and plastic don't mix very well.
Right, exactly.
Would you be willing to share? I know one of your stories, one of your books talks about this, and you talk about this in your life experience and other interviews, is you had your own healing story and you had to learn about the body's power to heal when you had a hernia. Can you share a little bit about that experience?
Yeah, yeah, I could. Yeah, so here's my book. This
Hernia
is
without surgery.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is hernia without surgery. So
Hmm.
14 years ago, good question. I appreciate that. And
Hmm.
I like to help your audience. I got a hernia 14 years ago. 14 years ago, I was 52 years old. At 52 years old, I was going through a lot of changes in my life. So, one of the changes was I was going through midlife crisis at 52 years old. I wanted to make some changes. So one of the changes, well, you mentioned it about 5 minutes ago. I wanted to get bigger.
Yeah.
I was never big. I was always ripped, like a ripped body. So
Yeah.
I said, I want to put on some size. So what do? You start lifting heavier weights. Um, I did take some steroids. A couple of guys in the gym, they were helping me out. You want to get bigger, you got to take this. All right. I tried it, did it for a couple of years. Uh, I got a hernia, 52 years old now. I popped it. I go to the doctor, conventional doctor, and he looked at me. He goes, we got to set you up for surgery next week. I said, no, you're not. He goes, what do you mean? I said, I don't want surgery. I don't want to do it. He goes, well, you're going to, it's dangerous. I said, I'm going to figure out a way how to treat it on my own, which I
Hmm.
did, which I did. And I said, I'm going to live with this hernia. So I went on this whole thing. I was all reading everything, what's the best way to do this? So, and I started to do my program, and 14 years later, which is now 65 years old, my hernia went from, I'm gonna say, the size of a baseball, about that big. Now it's about that small.
Oh, wow.
I shrunk it. And I'll share some of my techniques.
Yeah,
The way
please.
I started to do it, I took Epsom salt baths every day for about 45 days straight. And the reason for the Epsom salt baths is because it'll calm the body down. It'll calm the hernia down. See, the hernia will it will irritate you if you're stressed out, if you did something strenuous, it will like get inflamed. So with the Epsom salt bath, you massage the area, always massage down, right? You push the hernia back in, and by massaging the area, the muscle around it will strengthen and help keep the hernia suppressed inside your body. And that's what I did. And besides that, I wore a hernia belt. You ever heard of a hernia belt? Okay. Let me see. I have it here. This is a hernia belt.
Oh, okay, yes.
This padding goes against the hernia, wherever the bulge is. You tighten it up, make it nice and tight. And you wear that also for about 40 days straight. From the moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep at night. I wore that hernia belt. Now I only wear the hernia belt when I go to the gym.
Yep.
When I exercise, I don't work out without the hernia belt. On my YouTube channel and my Instagram, I'm starting to put more content out of how to work out, how to position your legs so you don't rupture your hernia. So I'm showing people that you can live with a hernia, no problem. You just got to accept it. Getting surgery is not the answer, because when you do get surgery, right, there's times it's a mesh surgery that they put inside your body to hold the hernia in place. That mesh can tear. I do know a few people who had it, and they had to go back 8 months later or a year later and get surgery again because it pulled. So the hernia wasn't done successfully. So, these are all decisions that I made. You talk about the warrior. This is what the warrior does. Warrior is going to self-heal, as long as I can manage it and I can do it. That was my purpose. So I mentioned massaging, hernia belt, Epsom salt bath. I have something else here. This is an all-natural. You'll never take magnesium pills again if anyone who tries this. This is all-natural magnesium. This actually is from the ocean. It's on my website. If anyone is interested, this is on my website. If you have a hard time sleeping at night, this is it. You spray your body, a couple of sprays, maybe 1 or 2 under your armpit, right? You'll get the best sleep, and anything that's inflamed in your body, whether it's your leg, your hernia, your arm, spray it, a couple of sprays. Watch how fast the inflammation goes down. Another thing, 70% of the population today, they're magnesium deficient.
Yes.
Are you aware of that, Chrissy?
Yes. Yes.
Good.
I see it a lot for women, because when we get into perimenopause and menopause, it becomes a real issue, and it can lead to really scary symptoms if we don't have enough magnesium. So like tachycardia.
100%. Yep. My wife and I actually talked about that yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah, we actually talked about that yesterday. When you go through menopause, how important magnesium is for your
crazy.
body. Yeah, for your body. Yeah, for sure. So these are the little things. Again, with this book that I wrote, Hernia Without Surgery, I made it simple as possible. There's nine steps. If again, it's on my website. If anyone needs coaching on it, I can coach you for a month. I can coach you for 2 months. If you need to talk to me, I'm available. My purpose now in life here, I guess it's always been, is to help others with my wisdom and my experience.
I love it. And we'll make sure everything's in the show notes so people can find your website, find you everywhere that you are, so they can follow you, get your books. But before we wrap up, what would you want men out there most to know about being a man and living a great life as a man and a warrior?
Be true to yourself. When you look in the mirror, take a good look at yourself. Love yourself. You gotta love yourself before you can love anyone else.
Yes.
So to answer your question, first you got to be true to yourself. Be true to your word. If you give somebody your word, stick to it. That's what a man does. Be loyal to those that are loyal to you. Okay? And always remember, you got to have discipline. You got to have dedication. Self-love is really important. And that's it. You know, for being a man, that's what you need to do in life.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your time today, Chris. It's been lovely chatting with you.
It's been lovely talking with you too. Thank you for having me.